The purpose of this video is to illustrate a consistent and repeatable way to execute the all three starters glitch in Pokemon Red and Blue. So to do this, the first thing we need to do is assign two new buttons to our controller. And to do that, the first thing we need to do is open up our emulator. And to assign these two new buttons, the next thing we need to do is go to Tools, and then we need to go to Settings, and then we need to go to Shortcuts. Within the Shortcuts menu, we now need to do the emulation dropdown right there. And the two buttons we need to assign are Reset and Next Frame. We'll see why later on. So the first button I'm going to assign is Reset. So I'm going to click Reset, and then I want to assign it to my controller, which is my gamepad. So make sure we have gamepad selected here. And then to assign the button, just click in this area until the cursor is blinking in there. So the Reset button, we want to assign to this joystick's down button. So I'm just going to do this joystick's down button, just like that. And then once you move your mouse into this area, it will assign the button Reset to the gamepad. The next button we want to assign is going to be Next Frame. So I'm going to select Next Frame. I'm going to want to double check to make sure gamepad is selected here. And I'm going to triple click inside this box until it's all highlighted. And now the Next Frame button, we want to make this joystick's down arrow. So I'm going to do this joystick's down arrow, and then move my mouse anywhere inside this kind of white window here. And now I've assigned that button to the gamepad. I am next going to hit Apply, and for some reason the window goes away. Just hover down over here, and then select here, and then hit OK. And now your buttons are assigned. We can move on to the next step. Next step I want to do is load up the game. So go to File, Load ROM, go to your directory that's got your ROMs in it, and I'm going to do Pokemon Blue. Let that load up. Okay, so as this game is fast forwarding through, I just want to explain conceptually what we're trying to accomplish here. So in this first game that we're starting, we're going to go through, we're going to go to Professor Oak's, we're going to pick out a Pokemon, and then we're going to save the game there. And then once we save the game there, we're going to reset it. And the idea is that saved game file now has the data with whatever starter Pokemon you picked. We picked Bulbasaur. And then to reset the game based on the new buttons that we programmed, we're going to hit this joystick's down arrow. And then conceptually, what we want to do is, after we reset the game, go through and we actually want to start a new game. And the reason why conceptually is because we, in essence, want to fuse our data. We want to fuse some of the data from our original saved game, where we have Bulbasaur, our one starter Pokemon, and we want to fuse that with the data from a new game, because by fusing that with the data from the new game, we're going to be able to go back to Professor Oak's and pick another starter Pokemon. So that's conceptually what's happening, and that's what this glitch allows us to do. By saving it and overwriting the file and resetting it at just the right time, it's going to, in essence, allow that data from the old saved game to be fused with our new game, and thus we'll have the Bulbasaur starter, and we'll also have the opportunity to go back to Oaks and pick another starter Pokemon. First thing we want to do is actually initiate the process of saving this game. So hit Start, go down to Save. We do want to save the game. And now this is when it starts to get key. This is when we have to start being very careful. Okay, so I want to remind you that we programmed two new buttons, the Reset button and the Next Frame button. So now we are going to be using the Next Frame button because that allows us to progress the game one frame at a time. And with this glitch, the timing of the reset is so important and so precise that having the ability to progress through our game one frame at a time is what's going to ensure us the ability to consistently repeat this over and over again. Okay, so in order for this to occur, I want to remind you that this joystick's down is our Next Frame button, so we're going to be utilizing that. We're also going to have to hit yes, so we're going to have to incorporate our A button. So in essence, what we're going to do is we're going to hit that A button, and then we're immediately going to push that next frame, because it, in essence, like triggers a pause, And then by advancing, by hitting that down joystick, it's going to allow us to go frame by frame. So you can kind of see this. I'm going to hit A, and then I'm going to immediately hit the down arrow here. Okay? So now I'm going to continue to hit that down arrow until the yes/no box goes away. And this is key. Once that yes/no box goes away, we're going to advance 6 frames. So I'm going to count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So now what we need to do is reset it right at this spot. And if you recall, this joystick's down arrow was the reset button. And with the way this works, we're going to be able to hit the reset button, and then we're going to be able to unpause it with our pause button down here. So I'm going to hit my reset button, and then to unpause it and initiate the reset, I'm going to hit this button here. That's the unpause button. So now we'll let the game progress through. And hopefully now when we load our game, it's going to have that fused data. It's going to allow us to have our Bulbasaur that we picked initially, and also allow us to go back to Professor Oak's and get a new starter Pokemon. So the way you can check this immediately is just by going to your Pokemon. And yes, we have our Bulbasaur. We're going to be able to execute our glitch here. So now all you have to do is repeat that process 2 more times, and like my son will illustrate here momentarily, you'll be able to get all 3 starter Pokemon consistently and repeatedly every single time. And one last note I highly recommend, once you're done with this glitch, I'd go ahead and unprogram the reset button from that down joystick arrow, because sometimes you can accidentally graze that button while you're in normal gameplay, and that would be bad. You'd reset your game in the middle of something important. So highly recommend unprogramming that reset button once you're done with this glitch.